We are about to do some notes, but when the first class, my second period, was working on their homework, they were all confused because of one question in their homework that was not like the ones on the notes. So I'm putting an extra example, all right? So if you find a place, we didn't do example 6 last class. You can just put it in that place instead, if you'd like. I'm just going to do an extra example. Okay, so we have to find the equation of a polynomial. It says of least degree, which means we will not have any repeats. We will not have any, remember how we had repeated solutions? We don't have any repeated solutions. That's what of least degree is going to tell us. This is the same directions for all of our examples today. It's just the numbers were different. Yeah, we're just using that spot for 6 at the top because we're not doing them.
It doesn't say like example number 6. Like it's just number 8. Like there is no example number 6.
It's a student practice. That's it. Did you find it? Okay, what did you find it?
Because example number 5. This one?
So we just crossed out student practice 6 so you have some space. What you're going to do is you're going to find the actual polynomial that, when it is graphed, it has the x-intercepts at 1, -1, and +3. Okay? So I'm going to do these steps, and you're going to do these steps for every single question. They're going to be all the same steps. First, you're going to write each of these. I'm going to set equal to x. So I'm going to write x equals 1, x equals -1, and x equals 3. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Then we're going to take each of those and we're going to make them say equals 0. So the first one where it says x equals 1, how do I take the 1 and move it over so that it says x equals 0? I'm going to subtract the 1, so we'll get x equal, or just kidding. So we'll get x minus 1 equals 0. And then the middle one, how do I move -1 over? We add 1, so we'll have x plus 1 equals 0. The third one, what? Oh, I thought you had a question. So we're going to have -3 moved over, so we'll have x minus 3 equals 0. So we set each equal to 0. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take each of these that equals 0 and we'll write them as factors, like we had just factored something. So the first one will be the factor x minus 1. The second one will be the factor x plus 1. And the third one will be x minus 3. Yeah. Like if you combine my green and my black steps? But you need to make sure that eventually they're all next to each other without all the equal signs. So remember when we were solving and you had it factored, your next step would be to write each factor equal to 0. and then solve for each factor. We're just going backwards. We're putting them back together. So prior to the factored form, it was all multiplied out. So now what we have to do is we have to multiply it all out. You're right. So how many can we multiply at a time? 2. So you can choose whatever 2 you want. I'm going to choose the first 2 to multiply together. And it, not perfect square, but it'll end up being different. So I'm going to choose the first 2, and I'm going to stay organized with my like terms when I do this. It is best if you stay organized. It is best if you stay organized. So we're going to multiply x times x and x times 1. So we're going to get x squared plus x. Then I'm going to multiply my minus 1 times each term. So I get minus x minus 1. And then we combine our like terms, and I get x squared. These 2 cancel out, and I get minus 1. Okay, from there, I have to take that answer and multiply it by the other factor. So again, just stay organized. We'll do x squared times x and x squared times minus 3. And then we will do minus 1 times x and minus 1 times minus 3. I'm not going to write minus x underneath that one. And the way they'll write their answer is they'll have f of x equals, so they have the original function was this. So we're just taking the answers and finding what original function it was that gave us those answers. Hey, not too bad.
Why would we need to do that?
I mean, for what purpose? Like for your job?
Yeah, but
I don't know. I do it all the time for my job. I don't know.
but your job's to teach.
Uh-huh. And
So we can
unfortunately,
use
my
it.
job is not a 1-to-1 ratio. I'm not going to teach to what Derek's going to do someday. I'm going to teach you all this information so that you have multiple possibilities of what you can do someday. All right, the next one is actually on your paper now. There is a irrational conjugate theorem. What this is saying is sometimes one of the solutions will have a square root in it. So I have a number plus the square root of a number. If you have a solution that looks like this, there will always, 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 always be a second one that has the opposite sign in the middle. If you have a square root, there will never be one square root solution. They are always come in pairs. Always. That's what this is basically saying. So when you look ahead, and in the next example, it tells us the zeros are at 3 and at 2 plus radical 5. They've told us 2 of the zeros, but there really are 3. Because if you have any square roots, they will always be pairs. These pairs are called conjugates. They are called conjugates. The conjugates have the same first term, same last term, different sign in the middle. They're called conjugates. Same first term, same last term, different sign in the middle. And you will use this a lot in Algebra 2 and beyond. The word conjugates will come up. So we're going to work through this example. You probably want to write a little small. Maybe make like 2 columns for all of your work. Just heads up. some people started right in the middle and ran out of space, so maybe write kind of small before we start. We're gonna do the exact same stuff we did for the first one. The first thing that we did was what? We set them equal to x. Okay, so I've got x equals 3. Then I've got x equals 2 plus square root 5. That is one full answer. But if there is a square root, there has to be a second one. So they didn't tell it to me. I have to know that there is also 2 minus square root 5. So after we set them equal to x, then what do we do? Set them equal to 0. So now I have x minus 3 equals 0. My second one is going to be x minus 2 minus square root 5 equals 0. How am I doing that, yeah? This says with coefficient of 1, that's saying like it's going to start with 1x to the something power rather than having a stretch on it. Thank you for asking. After the word zeros, they only tell us 3 and then 2 plus square root 5. Okay, how did I get the minus 2 and the minus square root 5? What did I do? Brandon, what did I do? I subtracted both of them, right. So for this one over here, I'm going to have x minus 2, and then if I subtract minus, or is add square root 5. So after we have them all equal to 0, then what do we do? Write as factors. So my first factor is x minus 3. My second factor is x minus 2 minus radical 5. My third factor is x minus 2 plus radical 5. So there are 3 factors. What's the degree of this polynomial going to be?
To the third degree.
It's going to be to the third. Exactly. All right, so now comes the multiplication, and you're really welcome to multiply whatever 2 you want to start, but let me just tell you, it is easier to multiply these 2 together first, even though it doesn't look like it. It is. So if you have conjugates, you've got the plus and the minus of the 2 radicals, you want to start by multiplying those 2 together first. Multiply those 2 together first. Do it. Okay. Stay organized. I'm going to do it in different colors so you can follow my work. We're going to multiply everything in the second parenthesis by an x. Boom, boom, boom. So I'm going to get x squared minus 2x. And then when I multiply an x times a radical 5, I get plus x radical 5. So the x just stays on the outside. And we multiply a minus 2 to everything in the second parenthesis. So minus 2 times an x is a minus 2x. So I'm putting it underneath its like term. We do a minus 2 times a minus 2, and that becomes a plus 4. And I'm putting that underneath its like term. There wasn't one, so I'm putting it out by itself. Then I do a minus 2 times a plus radical 5, which becomes a minus 2 radical 5. And that doesn't have a like term either, so I put it all the way out there by itself.
I for some reason thought the radical would act like the variable separate. It's a negative 2.
You put it here.
Yeah, you can't.
You can. It doesn't really matter where you put them. I'm just trying to make it. Yeah. Yeah. Just because it's an x and not a number. All right, and then we're going to do square root of 5. I'm sorry, minus square root of 5 times everything in that one. So when I do minus square root of 5 times x, I get minus x square root of 5. So I put it under the other x square root of 5. They're like terms. Then I do minus square root of 5 times minus 2. So that gives me plus 2 square root 5, because minus and minus multiply together terms of positive. Notice how I put it under its like term. And then we do a minus square root of 5 times a plus square root of 5. That gives me a minus square root of 25. When I multiply radicals together, we just multiply them underneath the radical. Now we're going to add our like terms. X squared just comes down. Minus 2x is minus 4x. And what happens when I add together x squared of 5 and minus x squared of 5? They cancel. Yes, Brandon? Yes, I'll do it. Then we're going to bring down plus 4. Then our minus 2 radical 5 and plus 2 radical 5 cancel. And then, isn't radical 25 a number that we know? So I just write minus 5 there. I got to keep the minus sign. But not too bad, right? This can simplify to x squared minus 4x minus 1. That is not the answer. That is just multiplying two of them together. What's the third one? Yeah, so we still have an x minus 3 to multiply. So we're going to do it again. Stay organized. We're going to multiply x to everything in the second parenthesis. X cubed minus 4x squared minus 1x. What's wrong? I mean, from before when I combine it with the 5. So we're trying to, yeah. Then I'm going to multiply everything by negative 3, so we get negative 3x squared plus 12x plus 3. X to the third minus 7x squared plus 11x plus 3. We do not have anything else to multiply. So we write f of x equals in front of it and be done. So we're doing the same thing for all of these. It's just when you got those square roots in there, we just gotta take our time to stay organized. Let's do one more. Turn the page. One more. I want you to, I'm going to speed this back up so you can see what we did without having to keep flipping between front and back. I want you to start out this next one on your own, but we'll finish it together once you work past it. Start number 7 on your own. So I put up the notes so you can see what we did before. You don't want to keep flipping. Okay, so 1 is not one of the answers. Where it says leading coefficient of 1, that's telling you when you're done it'll start with a 1x cubed or something like that. That's not one of the zeros. So just after the word zeros, those are the answers that we're setting equal to 0. So the zeros are here. That's what you're setting equal to x. Again, 1 is not one of those. I should just write it up here. X equals 4. X equals 1 minus square root 5. Do we have another one? Do we have another one? What?
X equals 1 plus
1 plus radical 5, because if there's square roots, they always come in conjugates. So if you have something other than that for your first step, you're not going to have the right answer. Okay, so when you move stuff over, you subtract the 1, but you also have to subtract the square root on this one. For this one, when you moved it over, it was originally a minus, so you have to add it to get it over. I don't have my answers right for me. No, that's not it. I mean, the first time's right, but. Okay, my next step is that I set each of these equal to 0. So I have x minus 4 equals 0. And then to get this one equal to 0, you have to subtract 1 and you have to add square root of 5. X minus 1 plus square root 5 equals 0. For this one, you have to subtract 1 and subtract square root 5. So x minus 1 minus square root 5 equals 0. So your factors should be x minus 4, x minus 1 plus square root 5, and x minus 1 minus square root 5. Then which two are you going to multiply together first? The last two, the ones with the square roots. Like your answer. Well, yeah, that's part of it, but
Yeah.
those numbers are right. So I'm going to multiply this up through. They organize, multiply by x. So if you are following along and you're doing your work correct, it should match my work at this moment. Just square root 5. That's so far. I'm going to multiply one more time. So we're going to distribute the x to all of those, and then distribute the minus 4 to all of those. on the last step. You see how it -4 there, and you -, and your work rates. So that's gonna make everything. Getting it signed. It's just like the last thing you did. Just these terms are interesting. So that's all. And then try to sign. Yep. So if you have questions on the homework still, or otherwise consider it. You should not be going to see that. Actually, when I see that, that was wrong. That's wrong. You should not be minus -8x right here. You look at your work, however you got -8x. They're like a burger, like in the second thing. We'll figure it out. Yeah. Oh. It should be. Yeah.
Well, we're going to the next one.
Yep. Doing all right. Next one. You guys, when you have your answer, it should say Epivax equals.
Oh, I should know.
So maybe you leave it off. It should say Epivax equals.
No?
I can multiply together to give you the whole thing. Does that work? Just for that term. Multiply together.
Huh?
So that changes your answer.
Did
Did you figure it out?
You forgot about the negative.
sorry.
The 9 plus negative 7.
So I'm gonna do the next steps to this one. A lot of you already have done, and you're working on number 8. If you have your computer, it's because you did number 8 already.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm gonna finish this one out so you can see it. This would be x cubed minus 2x squared minus 4x. And then minus 4x squared plus 8x and plus 16. Okay. If you haven't done number 8, try number 8. Excellent.
Sorry.
Yep. So my guess is you can't do this stuff in your head. You probably need some scratch paper for homework. I don't know. Surprised me, maybe you do it in your head right here.
Oh, it's very.
Caleb's gonna try. He just said
You're
challenge.
supposed to. No.
So you did not write this right. So the first one's 2. Yes, that is all together. I mean, there could be a button that looks like that, and you would set it up right, if that's how, if that's what you wanted. It should be 3 bucks an hour. So Miss C across the hall borrows the cart this morning, and now we've got 3 that don't.
Wow, what a order.
So minus 9 is not correct. Yeah, so going up even further, it should not be negative. It should be 3 plus and then 3 minus. The first term and the last term stay the same, just the middle changes.
Why didn't you, I didn't.
So that's what happened.
That's like one of the few that I did. I did 3, 3, 1, and then
I mean, you probably didn't do your work wrong, but you had that first thing wrong. Okay.
Brandon, why do you keep messing
Did you
up?
redo the peer review this one? We're gonna put stuff and try to figure it out. Okay, so, go from scratch, like, ignore what they have written here. Do what you would do if you did a peer review. Okay, just start, and then from there, you should be able to look at it and be like, oh. Now, if you have questions on last night's, or 2 days ago, that assignment, you can ask me questions during this time, or you can work on the next assignment. What are we doing now? Okay, exercise. Yeah. These should cancel out, so I should tell them, okay, that is, and then we've got a minus 37 times the negative. No, it would be your multiple. So you would multiply square root of 7 and square root of 7 plus square root of order now. So you have minus. And we add the column that have like terms.
Probably like very
The first one. You get
That's
a
all
three.
you self to read that one day. Yeah. When
Your assignment is on Big Eddie is online.
Yeah.
We're adding negative 3, or adding another negative. So we're starting negative, going more negative.
So now take that and divide by this. Same what we just did, just easier to multiply the those first. Okay.
So if you still have questions on the assignment that was due today, please ask. If you have questions on the next assignment, please ask. I'm gonna go back and finish number 12. Right, because you're dividing by. No? These are- wait. And then there's,
Ow, what the hell? Ow, 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 ow. Brady, ow. You hurt me, ow. What?
I guess when I get to the end, you have to solve it. So you have to. Yep. Okay.
So, you just think that. Good idea, good idea. I might have to join you on that. Which would you like? What? Ooh. Ow, 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 ow. My elbow's so hurt.
So remember, you want to go back and finish number 12, so you know how to do that for a feature quiz or test. Oh wait, we have a feature test coming up. Next. If you are doing a test retake, they gotta be done by December 9th, which means you gotta give me stuff before December 8th.
Very high last year. Yeah, exactly. I'm still not. Brendan, did you read though? No. Alright. I'm trying to find someone who did. Or I might as well just watch the movie. I'm pretty damn with that song.
I like the sound effects, dude.
I wish he does like surprise pop quiz. I already. Oh shit.
Oh, you want to play me in this?
Yes, I do. And you're studying, wait, what class you don't
I'm going to Mr. Draper's next. You usually don't really do anything.
Okay, so just text me if you don't play, because I will.
Will you?
Yes.
All Mr. Draper did yesterday was we got him like monologuing.
You have Mr. Draper?
Oh, he is awesome.
Wait, what you have before then?
Fifth financial literacy.
Oh, that's not, I am.
Oh, computer science. Oh, okay.
Try it.
The AP
Narrow
one.
it down.
Yeah.
Now, it'll be.
He can't teach that. Can't he?
I think
He's
Mr.
fully-
Wise is the other AP computer science.
He openly admits he doesn't know how to teach that.
Well, Mr. Wise is an actual programmer, I think. Mr. Draper is.
He's a teacher.
Mr. Draper's awesome, though.
He's amazing though. He is.
Fun, you need to get Mr. Draper. He literally just tells us stories and stuff, and it's awesome.
Use that.
You think I do? Why? What makes you think they're fun? I have no idea what I'm doing. Fun, I have no idea what I'm doing. Fun, that's what I do. Fun, you don't have to worry about your thoughts right now.
You know? Why?
I'm really not getting this back. I'd rather not be. You might not. You should work.
She's okay with number 4. The yellow ones. Yeah.
Every day, maybe one down there, like one yellow.
Move one every single day and just switch them around.
Schools.
I see you on Monday, and I see you on Tuesday, and I see you on Friday.
I'm leaving.
You're not home?
Yeah. Well, so the homework is like the same one on syllabus? Or is it worse? Is it
It is though, right there.
And we have tests next Thursday. And we have another thing due next Thursday.
Which one is it?
The one under this class? On the wall.
We don't do anything. We didn't do anything Yeah, exactly.
I gotta write this quick email before I forget. Don't worry, this question's not gonna take the whole period, right? Okay.
It's not that exciting. I was expecting it to be like extremely vibrant.
Not sure about that.
You got tired.
No, you don't. Your dad cuts it. Well, you don't cut it. Mom does it. It's a little outside. It's a lot.
All the stuff. Oh, it's just a little bit of the back.
Okay, how do you do the size?
I paid it.
What do you start with?
Well, at first I go 5 all the way. Then I do,
Whoa, 5 nothing.
then I do 4.
Your size are not 5 right now.
What? Doing how much?
It's going to take me forever to take attendance.
5 all the way, then I do 4.
Did you have like this memorized now?
I don't, but nobody's sitting in their seat. No, I do. I know that's Rashminder's seat, but he's all the way over there. And I know that's Jason's seat, but he's all the way over there. You know what I'm saying, guys? And half of you are standing in front of me.
But then you know we're here.
I can't see through you. Here's missing. Can I hear? No. Okay, see how could this is
We can tell you.
Yeah, it's not very reliable all the time though.
You don't do the top though. You do the top. It's hard. All you do is like.
I've tried to do that. I used to do it where I just get like just and try to.
Did you get any?
All right, now we're good.
You saw it.
So I just Tuesday after school.
I usually do, but I'm meeting after school today, so I can't.
You think I can take it on Monday? Monday we have like a block. No.
So that's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday.
I'm gonna be handing the quizzes back on Monday. In the morning. I will have yours graded by then.
Did the booklet, no problem, but when I got to this stuff, I was like, nope. So first off, for these two, how do I find their exact values, which are negative, but that falls into positives? Like I'm confused, like 2, 5, or 3 is in the second quadrant, the sign is positive. Oh, it's that way. So then, just go normally, so that would be negative, so sine of 60 is square root of 3 over 2, so negative square root of 3 over 2. But I wanted to know for that, and then these, I have no idea how to. I know, I was looking through all my notes and I could not find something that even came close. I even looked in the
This is the
book.
very last example that we did. The very last example. It says verify, so we basically have to show that this equals that.
Right.
So you need to write that down.
Yeah, I wrote, well, it starts on, well, it starts on 17, so like I was doing that.
Why are you using the formula?
I don't know.
The sign subtraction.
Oh, I have to use those?
Different formula.
Oh, okay.
So use that one.
I'm just like.
For obtuse area.
That's like, yeah, that's what one kid did.
Is it always
It's like one time.
And then
Dude's like,
just
have you
where-
done things?
Well, it's like meters. That's what meters are.
Still gotta do.
and then
Nah,
is the height always less than A?
No. Well, we were trying to figure out how the height compares to A and B. So that's why they're in different colors. So I found the height by using the formula that was in the height formula. It says do these
Number 11.
So it's 31 times 20.5. And I got the answer to 20. So how does it compare to 12 and compare to 31? Well, it's less than A, which is less than B. So in that chart, it's a PVD chart, but do you have the actual? No, just right there. So you can see it a little bit bigger in here. So in the chart,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm right on
if this is why we were doing H, because we first figured out that A was a cube, we sketched it, and we needed to look at A, B, and H together. So we decided that this was a cube, so we went to
So you always find the height first, and then you can decide.
Right. Well, we didn't actually need to find the height for this one, because when we did this one, no, I lied. We didn't need to find the height for we didn't need to find the height for this one, because once we did A is greater than B, once we just looked at those, A is greater than B, I already knew this. But if A was less than B, then I had to find the height, which was the other two. A was less than B. And then we found H. H was greater than A. So that's why there was none for that. For this one, H is less than A.
Then why are we
So looked at
learning
two different
about
ones.
physics?
Because physics doesn't, that's not a career that you need like a lot of math.
Yeah, but why do we take our time?
It's a standard here.
Why is that the standard?
So everyone's not like,
Bro, I'm talking about like past algebra 1.
algebra 1 for now.
I know past that. I think I'll be fine with geometry, average.
Why does the school need to know where I live?
Where you live?
What's the purpose?
To mail you
What's the matter
things,
here?
to contact you,
They have our phone
You
number.
complaining won't change.
I know.
Okay.
Unless you like
They have our email.
How they can mail
get a
stuff?
bill
I
going,
never get mail.
somehow passes.
I think it's just a liability thing, like they have to,
Well, I might not be here on Friday, Saturday, Monday, because I might be being kicked out because I haven't turned in stuff. That'd be
Outside of like the what?
oh, you haven't enrolled in the school?
No, I'm enrolled. It's just I accidentally told them my mom doesn't live with me and I moved. So they're getting mad at my dad. My dad's not doing it. He hung up
Because
on
it's a
them.
legal, like it's legality, so.
Why do they? What's the purpose of knowing
I used to do it, I used to do it like straight line.
Purpose of knowing what?
Honestly,
And my dad hung up on me.
so bad.
Okay.
How can I say?
Say my
They're just doing their job.
No.
But
So-
for hours, I don't know how I'm supposed to go and take and stuff if they're only open
That was
7:30
wild
to
that one
3.
time.
Aren't you here from 7:30 to 3?
Yeah, but I can't drive to the enrollment center.
Yeah.
Oh, the enrollment center is
Yeah.
who you
That was
who you
the,
said that he hung up. I thought he was talking about our school.
And her dad works from 6 to
I've heard
6.
it.
Uh-huh. I guess you have to go right at 2:40.
On a hike and that's not.
2 hours, it'll take like maybe 10 minutes.
I mean, you could always take a tardy to school too.
I don't know.
It doesn't
It'd be a
affect
pain
you
because
unless you get
Like, it's only
multiple.
fun if like other people bring theirs too.
I mean, this would never happen to you, but I mean, there are students that are truant and they skip a school and they send people to their house, like to look for them. So obviously, we need to know where you live for that.
And then once you start applying to colleges and stuff,
Whoops.
We were in like Whitewood, 9 hours, it was like 7, but you gotta get it. Dude, it's just, not even playing, just like.
Set up a cosine of x,
Literally,
extended from
it's
copper.
like so fun, we all burning.
Yes.
So, like, we just have like a horde of like,
You're good. They're about to fall off. Sine x. Oh, can't I spell?
he recommended me when we got to school.
Alright, now how to do this.
I don't know how to do that.
Cosine of that's 0. Sine of 2 pi is 0.
Wait, what? Chris? Wait, she's your sister.
Oh, wait, I got it, I don't get
Chris is lying.
Chris is like, I can't work. Hey,
Hey,
Wear the sweatpants, long straps. I can tell you where these. These. You get these. Joggers. Joggers, bro.
Is he bothered?
Okay, I can't make it any wise.
This one just for some reason could not come fast enough.
That's so
Next week will probably be even worse.
I know.
Next week will probably be even worse. Next semester will be even worse.
They're calling for snow.